Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal Part 345 based on novel. So let's start. The other cultivation planet within the demonic Scorpion clan noticed the commotion, and a large amount of cultivators flew out. However, the woman in white felt that the only thing left was her and the light shadow giant. The giant punch closed in, and no one could block it for her. At this moment of crisis, she released even more milky white aura. When the punch arrived, the milky white aura rushed to the spot between her eyebrows. A mark appeared between her eyebrows. This mark was 3 lines that gave off red, yellow, and blue light. The moment it appeared, a memory she seemed to have forgotten flashed through her mind. In her memory, she knelt on the ground and was chosen as the saintess of the River clan. On the acceptance day, a jade-like hand appeared before her. The hand was warm, and when it touched her forehead, it erased her clan mark. From today onward, you will become one of my avatars. You will use your body to nourish my projection avatar to help me heal. You will also become my Joss Flame disciple. This memory flashed across her mind, but time didn't allow her to think too much. The moment the mark appeared, the milky white aura formed a vortex. The vortex confronted Wang Lin's punch. Thunderous rumbles echoed and space itself trembled. The woman in white coughed out blood and was thrown away. As she was being thrown away, the milky white aura surrounded her, allowing her to break all barriers and merge with the world. Wang Lin's right hand felt numb and his eyes revealed a strange light. As the woman in white disappeared, he took a step and also disappeared. After he left, the light disappeared, leaving behind countless corpses and the shocked demonic Scorpion clan cultivators that had arrived late. In the eastern part of the ancient star system, ripples dispersed as the woman in white surrounded by the milky white aura walked out. She was almost like an empty oil lamp. After she appeared, she didn't hesitate to take the last step. The last one. Once I get there, I'll be rescued. However, just as she raised her right foot, the world trembled and space itself shook. Blood light pierced through the void from all directions and charged at the woman in white. The woman in white didn't even look at Wang Lin, who appeared with a venomous and mocking expression. When the blood sword arrived, her body was already transparent. No matter how much the blood sword tried, it couldn't injure her body. As the woman in white was about to disappear, she said these cold words, "I'll let you go for now, but you will die for sure next time. Keep your divinity safe. It won't be long before we see each other again." However, what answered her was Wang Lin's right index finger and an even colder voice. "Stop." After he spoke, the world stopped moving. Even the woman, who was turning transparent, stopped as well. Her eyes still retained the coldness and ridicule. Everything in the world stopped. While everything was stopped, Wang Lin took a step and his right hand reached toward the woman in white. The 5 essences in his eyes rotated rapidly and a portion of it broke off into his right hand. This allowed his reach to break through everything. He pierced through the ripples and caught her transparent body. He then pulled her out from the void. "I told you, you can't escape." Holding the woman in white, the stop spell dissipated. The woman's body quickly turned from transparent to corporeal. Her eyes were filled with disbelief and panic. Wang Lin had already turned to normal, and his right hand held the woman in white. He lifted his left hand to search her soul, but milky white aura rushed out. It wasn't to attack Wang Lin, but to destroy the woman in white. Without any time to search her soul, Wang Lin was more reluctant to give up her soul. As the milky white aura was about to destroy her, there was a flash of bloodlight and the blood sword pierced the woman. He destroyed her origin soul before the milky white aura could. This was stealing the soul from the reincarnation cycle and stealing Joss Flames from the blue concubine. The moment the woman in white trembled for the last time and completely died, the soul of a woman appeared in his wind and rain world. A powerful Joss Flame came from her soul and was absorbed by Wang Lin. After the woman in white died, her flesh melted into a pool of blood water. However, a golden thread flew out of it and charged for the void. This golden thread was formed by the projection avatar the blue concubine had been nourishing. Now that the woman in white had died, The golden thread was about to break through the void and return to the recovering blue concubine. Wang Lin suddenly raised his head and swung the blood sword at the golden thread. However, the indestructible blood sword went through the thread and didn't damage it at all. The golden thread didn't seem to belong to this world. It had no solid form and couldn't be injured by treasures at all. The golden thread flew further and was about to disappear. Just at this moment, Wang Lin's mind trembled and his storage space opened without his will. Then a woman walked out. This woman was wearing silver. It was the silver corpse. She walked out from the storage space and looked at the golden thread with confusion in her eyes. Looking at the golden thread that had broken through the void and disappeared, she raised her hand and gently reached out. Space rumbled and time seemed to reverse. The gold thread that had disappeared reappeared once more. It continued to struggle without any effect and was caught by the woman in silver. The moment the golden thread landed in the woman in silver's hand, it trembled violently as if it didn't dare to struggle. The woman in silver looked at the golden thread for a long time. There was still confusion in her eyes, and she gently squeezed it. With a pinch, the golden thread collapsed into golden mist and entered her orifices as if it were being devoured by her. Wang Lin squinted his eyes as he looked at everything before him. He had long wondered about her identity, but there were too few clues to guess who she was. However, from Daoist Water's shock and fear from seeing her, Wang Lin knew that the silver corpse identity wasn't simple. How could this kind of person become a refined corpse by the Cultivation Alliance? How did the Cultivation Alliance get her body? Wang Lin looked at the familiar silver corpse. Her eyes were still filled with confusion as she looked into the distance. No one knew what she was thinking. After a long time, Wang Lin calmly asked, "Do you remember who you are?" The woman in silver silently pondered as she looked back at Wang Lin. The confusion in her eyes became even stronger and she gently shook her head. "I only felt like the aura inside that golden thread was very familiar." Wang Lin's eyes shined as he carefully examined the woman and suddenly said, "Could it be you're one of the 8 ancient imperial concubines?" As he spoke, his eyes were like lightning as he stared at her eyes. After hearing those words, the confusion in her eyes became even stronger and she softly said, "No memory. Ever since I awakened, I can't remember." There was pain in her expression. She shook her head and turned toward the storage space. It was as if that was the only place where she could silently cultivate and not think about herself. However, the moment she was about to enter the spatial crack, she stopped. There was a trace of clarity in her confused eyes. She hesitated for a bit and turned toward Wang Lin. "Although I can't remember a lot of things, I vaguely know something. I can see that you have some Joss flames in your body. I vaguely remember that Joss flame is a poison. It was a heavenly scam. I seem to have lost everything due to it." The storage space crack shrank and disappeared after the woman in silver entered. However, her words set off a huge wave inside Wang Lin's mind, and his eyes shined brightly. From the Lord of the Sealed Realm, Daoist Water, and Tao Master Blue Dream, he had learned that Joss Flames was the key to reaching the third step and the key to nourishing his essence. He had gradually come to this conclusion himself, but right now the woman in silver's words were the complete opposite. For some unknown reason, Wang Lin felt a chill. He looked up at the sky and began to ponder. Poison. Scam. After pondering for a while, Wang Lin merged with the world. The woman in white has died and become a soul in my wind and rain world. There should be no one paying attention to me for now. This way, I have a chance of completing my essences. Wang Lin merged with the world and his divine sense spread out. According to the memories of the outer realm cultivators I devoured, the Scatter Thunder clan doesn't have a third step cultivator. There is a bolt of lightning that has existed since the beginning of time, and it is the clan's holy object. It is also the source that allows the clan to control thunder. If I devour this thunder, it will allow my thunder essence to grow. As for Joss Flames, in the end, which of them is telling the truth? Wang Lin used spatial bending to appear in a foreign star domain. There was a flash of coldness in his eyes. Whether it is true or false, I should be extremely vigilant. I have never relied on any Joss Flames in my cultivation. I have comprehended my own Tao, and even my essences were created without relying on the so-called Joss Flames. Wang Lin's body merged with the world again as he moved toward where the Scatter ThunderClan was. Among the vastness of space within the ancient star system, there was a star domain filled with thunder. This was where the famous Scatter ThunderClan was located. From afar, the Scatter ThunderClan's star domain was like a giant thunder lake. Even from far away, one could hear the thunderous rumbles of the eternal thunder. These rumbles were fierce, and all fierce beasts avoided the area. If someone got close without the Scatter ThunderClan token, they would immediately be attacked. Millions of bolts of thunder descending at once had shocking power. This was one of the reasons why the Scatter ThunderClan could be one of the big clans in the ancient star system without a third-step cultivator. Similarly, the Scatter ThunderClan had a glorious past. Countless years ago, they were one of the clans that placed a treasure in the Sealed Realm formation. There was an eternal thunderbolt within the Scatter ThunderClan. It had existed since the beginning of time and had appeared from the void. It rumbled endlessly, and the Scatter ThunderClan built a temple there to worship the thunderbolt. The location of the temple was the holy land of the Scatter ThunderClan, and it was extremely well guarded, making it very difficult for ordinary people to get close. There were always elders there, and although they had no third-step cultivator, there was one person at the fifth heaven's blight. The strongest person under third-step cultivators. For Wang Lin, the Scatter ThunderClan was like a steel wall. There were many powerful cultivators, and like the Tattoo Clan in the past, just one clan was enough to set off a chaotic war in the inner realm. Every Scatter Thunder Clan member cultivated the Tao of Thunder. They believed that there were 6 types of thunder. If they could cultivate them all, they could split the world and inherit the true meaning of ancient thunder. They would then obtain the origin of thunder and climb into the third step. However, since ancient times, very few people had entered the third step. Over the countless years of the Scatter ThunderClan's existence, only one person had reached the third step during their glorious past. Even without a third step cultivator, breaking into the Scatter ThunderClan was more difficult than climbing the heavens. Wang Lin calmly stood before the Scatter ThunderClan's star domain. Before him was the flashing and roaring thunder. It was like a thunder lake with bolts of thunder moving like silver snakes dancing. At a glance, it could shake the hearts of most cultivators and make them not dare to take a single step forward. This place was several times stronger than the thunder lake Wang Lin had encountered in all heaven. Before he got close, he could clearly feel all the hair on his body being pulled by a magnetic force. Even the space outside this thunder lake was filled with the power of thunder and could occasionally explode into bursts of thunder. If it was back when Wang Lin was in all heaven, even after he devoured half an ancient thunder dragon and obtained the ancient thunder dragon origin soul, it would have been extremely difficult to enter. He would likely have to retreat, or else the thunder would kill him before the Scatter ThunderClan had to do anything. However, after absorbing the power of thunder from the Scatter ThunderClan statue, the Tao fruit, and then giving birth to his thunder essence, Wang Lin's control of thunder had reached a terrifying degree. He silently looked ahead, and after a long time, he entered the Scatter ThunderClan's star domain. The Scatter ThunderClan didn't have anyone guarding the perimeter, as the eternal thunder was the best protection. Wang Lin slowly moved forward. His arrival didn't attract any attention from the Scatter ThunderClan. Wang Lin slowly crossed 50 kilometers in about 7 minutes. Every step he took, the hair on his body trembled and traces of thunder entered his body through every single pore. His mind was calm, without any joy or sorrow. It was as if he had entered a realm of emptiness. There was no Scatter ThunderClan before him, only that boundless thunder lake. At the center of this thunder lake was the eternal thunder. After crossing 50 kilometers, he stepped into the thunder lake. The thunder lake roared and thunder filled Wang Lin's eyes, replacing everything. This unexpectedly lit up the surrounding space. Like the dawn on a cultivation planet, the bolts of thunder swam through the thunder lake and surrounded Wang Lin, creating a thunderous rumble. Wang Lin's left foot was inside the thunder lake, and half his body was in as well. Endless numbers of silver snakes rushed over toward his left foot. As they surrounded him, they filled his body. If it was anyone else, their body would immediately explode and their origin soul would be extinguished due to not being able to withstand this indescribable thunder. Even their storage space would be shattered this thunder, and all the treasures inside would lose their effect. Wang Lin closed his eyes and his body became covered in thunder. The Thunder Lake was like a big mouth devouring Wang Lin. This caused him to be covered in endless thunder. Thunderous rumbles continued to echo while Wang Lin's body remained motionless with half a foot inside the Thunder Lake. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, 15 minutes went by. Just at this moment, a huge wave was set off in this massive Thunder Lake and a roar echoed. Wang Lin's eyes suddenly opened and there was a thunder mark flashing rapidly within one of them. In just the blink of an eye, it flashed thousands of times. Every time it flashed, the roar of the thunder would become stronger, and soon, everything was replaced by the roar of thunder. Wang Lin took a step forward and entered the Scatter Thunder Clan. The moment he entered, the Thunder Lake inside the Scatter Thunder Clan roared violently and large amounts of thunder swam like crazy. Wang Lin slowly walked forward. As he moved forward, all the thunder under his feet seemed to cheer and then enter his body. Wang Lin was like a thunder celestial as the thunder gathered in his right eye, causing the thunder mark to become more and more clear. He moved forward for an unknown amount of time and entered the inner part of the Scatter Thunder Clan. The thunder here roared even more intensely, and it covered everything. Here, not even divine sense could penetrate, and vision was torn apart. Wang Lin sat down and began to cultivate as more and more thunder gathered in his body. Thunder gathered from all directions, and the violent rumbles stirred up the entire Thunder Lake. Wang Lin's aura slowly faded until it completely disappeared. Although he was just sitting there, if someone closed their eyes before him, they wouldn't be able to detect him at all. At this moment, Wang Lin had become a bolt of thunder and fused with the Thunder Lake, so there was no way to tell that he wasn't part of it. After a long time, a thunder mark flew out from Wang Lin's closed right eye. It was too fast and instantly entered the Thunder Lake. It quickly swam away. This thunder mark looked like a normal bolt of thunder, but as it moved, all the thunder in the Thunder Lake had to make way and guide it. This allowed this bolt of thunder to move faster and faster. The boundless Thunder Lake was like a huge ring. At the deepest part, there was no thunder, but 16 cultivation planets. From afar, these cultivation planets were filled with thunder as if they were condensed from bolts of thunder. They were arranged in a circle, and at the center was a broken continent. This broken continent looked as if someone had broken it off from a complete continent. The edges were jagged and there was still gravel floating around the edges. This broken continent was completely black without any life. However, every Scatter Thunder Clan member knew that that broken continent had been there for as far as they could remember, and it was their holy land. There was a heaven-piercing temple on that continent. A bolt of thunder was sticking out of the void and touching the top of the temple. It had never disappeared over the countless years. That thunderbolt was completely black. If you looked closely, you would see that there were countless colors within. These colors fused together too from this thunder. One of the 16 cultivation planets had an earth yellow color. On this cultivation planet, there were countless caves. There were tens of thousands of caves, big and small. This was where the adults of the Scatter Thunder Clan cultivated. In the Scatter Thunder Clan, once one becomes an adult and reaches a certain cultivation level, they leave the 3 mother planets go to the 13 remaining cultivation planets. They could search for their own cave, be gifted one, open their own, or even steal one. The members of the clan could fight with each other, but no killing was allowed. If someone were to kill, they would be severely punished. But as long as no one died, everything was fine. This way of cruel infighting cultivated generations of clan members. The weak will be eliminated. At this moment, on this earth yellow planet, there was a young in black with a bloody wound on his chest walking through the plains with his head lowered. There was no edge to the earth before him. His current mood was cowardly with a hint of sorrow. I hate myself for not having good talent. I hate myself for being a cultivator. I hate myself for being a member of the Scatter Thunder Clan, the youth muttered, his expression twisted. His excited mood shook his injuries, causing him to cough out blood. He fell to the ground and looked at the flashing thunder in the sky. The sorrow in his eyes became even stronger. I don't want to become a cultivator. I want to live the life of a mortal. The young man's eyes became lax, but he struggled to lift his right hand and look at his fingers. A moment later, madness filled his eyes, and with the last of his strength, He reached toward the thunder mark between his eyebrows and mercilessly pulled. Blood and flesh splattered. He actually ripped off the Scatter Thunder clan mark between his eyebrows. He gradually closed his eyes with a miserable smile. He couldn't see that the moment his eyes closed, a bolt of thunder broke through the void and appeared in the sky as if it had perceived his existence. After a slight pause, it charged toward the wound between his eyebrows. The thunder suddenly descended and entered the young man, causing him body to tremble. His dissipating soul and vitality suddenly stopped and rapidly contracted as if they were being imprisoned. The wound he had torn open between his eyebrows quickly healed, and even the wound on his chest recovered in a short period of time. The thunder mark between his eyebrows had reappeared and was giving off a ghostly glow. After a long time, the youth slowly opened his eyes. There was no cowardice and sorrow anymore, they were replaced with coldness and age. It was as if these eyes had seen everything in the world, discovered the true meaning of life, and had survived for countless years. A cold aura came out of his body the moment the youth stood up. The youth had collapsed in a meadow, and right now all the grass was bent over as if it didn't dare to stand straight. This body isn't bad. The youth sat up, moved his head, and stood up. A powerful cultivation moved within his body and origin energy gathered from all directions. However, the body stayed at the core formation stage. There was no cultivation level increase or transformation done to the body. He was Wang Lin. To be more precise, it was a portion of Wang Lin's divine sense possessing this body. His original body was still fusing with the boundless Thunder Lake. Wang Lin wasn't so arrogant to think he could fight the entire Scatter Thunder clan himself. The Scatter Thunder clan was one of the powerful families of the ancient star system, so they had to have a lot of powerful cultivators. If Wang Lin directly rushed in to absorb the eternal thunder, the only thing awaiting him would be death. Therefore, Wang Lin had already made a plan. He was going to possess the body of a Scatter Thunder clan member to absorb the eternal thunder. If he pretended to be a Scatter Thunder clan member, there would be no issue, because he was someone who controlled thunder. In particular, he had possessed the body of someone who hadn't died, so it was foolproof. Wang Lin had even indirectly saved this person's life. After Wang Lin absorbed the eternal thunder and left, this person would regain control of his body. Depending on how long Wang Lin possessed this body, this person would receive a great fortune. With Wang Lin's cultivation level, he didn't need to worry about the initial period of adjustment after possessing, and he didn't intend to truly possess this body. After searching the memory of this body, Wang Lin learned that this person was named Yu Fei. He was a very ordinary Scatter Thunder clan member. His parents had died early in his life and he was left alone. After many difficulties, he had reached the core formation stage and inherited a cave his parents had left him. This cave was beside a spirit vein and was considered very good. However, with his cultivation level, there was no way he could keep it for long. 3 days after he inherited it, it was stolen and he was forced out. In the 200 years following that incident, his cultivation had been stagnant. If not for the Scatter Thunder clan's physique, which gave him a little more lifespan, he would have died long ago. However, these 200 years were painful for him. He had been bullied by his clan, and his life was worse than death. He had recently become under a nascent soul cultivator, and this was the same cultivation level as the cultivator that had taken his cave away all those years ago. Inside the cave was a thunder fruit tree left by Yu Fei's parents for him. The nascent soul cultivator had allowed Yu Fei to grow this thunder fruit. The thunder fruit could allow their clan mark to become even more powerful, and even their lifespan would increase. However, in order to make the fruit mature, a cultivator at least at the core formation stage would have to nourish it with the power of thunder. Yu Fei knew that his cultivation was stagnant and his lifespan was near its end. After hesitating, he devoured one of the 9 thunder fruits, but this brought a calamity upon himself. If not for the rule that fellow clan members couldn't kill each other, he would have already been dead. However, he was greatly humiliated, and on top of suffering his serious injuries, his cultivation had been sucked away. He was then kicked out by the nascent soul cultivator. Yu Fei didn't have many memories, and most of them were extremely negative. There was a monstrous hatred. He hated himself, he hated the Scatter Thunder clan, he hated all his clan members, and his personality was twisted. Wang Lin's divine sense left Yu Fei's memory and his eyes lit up. Thunder fruit empowers the clan mark. After Wang Lin came to the ancient star system, he had devoured a lot of cultivators here and gained an understanding of the cultivation methods here. The ancient star system was completely different from the inner realm. They didn't cultivate domains. Instead, one's cultivation was gathered in the mark between their eyebrows. This mark was a heritage. The stronger it became, the higher their cultivation level would be. Wang Lin touched the thunder mark between his eyebrows. This mark was made by Wang Lin himself. Although it looked the same as the Scatter Thunder Clan mark, the meaning was very different. The Scatter Thunder Clan's mark came from the eternal thunder. If the eternal thunder was a creature, then all the marks extensions of that creature. However, Wang Lin's mark was made by himself, and it was of much higher in status than the Scatter Thunder Clan's mark. It was on the same level as the eternal thunder. I need to study the thunder fruit. As for the matter with the Scatter Thunder Clan, this Yu Fei's cultivation level is too low, so he doesn't know much. Perhaps that nascent soul cultivator will know more. Wang Lin pondered as he charged toward the location of the cave in his memory. This cultivation was very large. Wang Lin didn't teleport, but flew over the earth. His divine sense faintly spread out and he began to observe. Not long after, 3 rays of light appeared before Wang Lin. There was a man and 2 women. The man was wearing white and was very handsome. The 2 women behind him were very beautiful. As the 3 of them flew on flying swords, they seemed to be chatting. The man's cultivation level was decent, late-stage core formation. The 2 women were at the early stage of core formation. While the man was chatting, his gaze swept by Wang Lin. When he saw Wang Lin flying by without even looking at him, he frowned. Yu Fei, come here. Wang Lin turned a deaf ear and his divine sense swept across the earth. He seemed to have found some secret about this planet as he moved forward. When the man in white saw that Wang Lin was still ignoring him, there was a flash of coldness in his eyes. He let out a cold snort and turned around toward Wang Lin. He waved his right hand and a thunder sword appeared from his bag of holding. It gave off bursts of thunder and shot toward Wang Lin. Yu Fei, you got guts to not pay respects after seeing this lord. The thunder long sword rumbled loudly, but when it got near Wang Lin, it trembled and stopped in mid-air. Wang Lin withdrew his divine sense and coldly looked at the man in white. Are you talking to me? A simple sentence that anyone could say. Even though he looked like Yu Fei, the coldness in his gaze was like a boundless storm that swept the world. The man in white was rushing forward, but when he saw Wang Lin, he felt his core rumble. It was as if he had been hit by lightning and was caught in an endless world of ice. He felt like he had been completely seen thorough and no longer had any secrets. This terrified him to the point that his core stopped moving. Cracks appeared on it as if it couldn't withstand this gaze, and it was about to explode. The 2 women behind the man in white were originally looking at Wang Lin with taunting and teasing gazes. However, when Wang Lin turned around and said those words, they felt the world tremble. The clouds scattered and the sky collapsed. It was as if the cowardly Yu Fei had turned into a ferocious ancient beast that gave off a monstrous aura. Only one thought from him would be needed for them to die. The 3 of them felt a roar in their hearts, but the outside world was completely quiet. This quiet was extremely bizarre. The youth in white was pale and his eyes turned lax. He then revealed indescribable horror. Wang Lin frowned. With his cultivation level, he really wasn't willing to bully these Outer Realm juniors. He withdrew his gaze and walked away. It wasn't until after he had been gone for a long time that the youth in white coughed out a large mouthful of blood. The 2 women behind him also coughed out blood. There were countless cracks on their cores, and they began to melt. The 2 women's faces were deathly pale, and their cultivation levels immediately fell from early-stage core formation to foundation establishment. As for the young man in white, his core also shattered. He looked at where Wang Lin disappeared with terror and shock. You. The 3 of them all looked at each other and remained speechless for a long time. They couldn't even have thoughts of resentment due to the fear that lingered in their hearts. The cave from Yu Fei's memory soon appeared before Wang Lin's eye. This cave was indeed good, and it was next to a spirit vein. Wang Lin could also see that there was a small river inside. This river flowed through the spirit vein and was very clear. There was faint spiritual energy coming from the river. There were some restrictions protecting the cave, but in Wang Lin's eyes, these restrictions were simply too weak. His expression was calm as he walked with his hands behind his back. With one step, he arrived outside the restrictions. He didn't even do anything, but the gate opened on its own. Wang Lin walked into the cave without any hesitation. Thunderous rumbles echoed and colorful lights flashed as all the restrictions activated when Wang Lin walked into the cave. Wang Lin didn't even look as he walked through the rumbling. There was an old man in green sitting 100 feet away from him. His eyes were wide open as he stared at the incoming Wang Lin, completely dumbfounded. His pupils revealed monstrous terror. The old man stared directly at Wang Lin. He couldn't hide the terror and disbelief in his eyes. He was just cultivating when door to the cave just opened without him noticing anything. He had never encountered such a bizarre thing in his hundreds of years of cultivation. What made his skin crawl was the extremely familiar figure that had walked into the cave. There was a large amount of restriction in the cave, some from before and many placed by this old man over the years. Once all of them activated, a core formation cultivator would die for sure. As for nascent soul old monsters, if they were a bit careless, they would be seriously injured or even perish. But he watched the familiar figure slowly walk over under the flashes of restrictions and rumbling of spells. At this moment, the old man's scalp was numb. The other person's cold gaze made his nascent soul feel pain. That gaze seemed to turn solid and pierced countless holes in his body. Not even his nascent soul could escape. A powerful pressure came from that person, and each of his steps seemed to stomp on his nascent soul. The old man's face instantly paled and he trembled, then he coughed out blood. He was terrified as he crawled back a few steps. He didn't even have time to get up. You Fei. Wang Lin made his way through the layers of restrictions and walked into the cave. His gaze swept past the nascent soul junior before examining the cave. This cave was not small. It had 6 stone rooms and went through the valley. There was also a small path that led into the valley. The sound of water flowing could be heard. It was the river that flowed in the valley. There was also a fragrance filling the cave. There were clearly a lot of spirit herbs planted here. This cave was very clean without any clutter. The stone walls were very smooth and could almost act as mirrors. There was a large formation slowly rotating on the ceiling of the cave. Once it was activated, the stone wall above would become transparent and allow one to see outside while in the cave. The nascent soul old man's heart pounded and he didn't dare to move. The disbelief in his eyes was still strong. In his eyes, Wang Lin was like the owner of the cave leisurely looking around, while he became the outsider, restless and at a loss. Wang Lin looked up at the formation. Although it was rough in his eyes, there were still some intricacies to it. Just as he raised his head, there was a flash of killing intent in the old man's eyes and he rushed out. He used the teleport spell that only nascent soul cultivators could use. Teleport was the most obvious difference between nascent soul and core formation cultivators. A nascent soul old monster with teleportation was powerful beyond belief to core formation cultivators. He appeared behind Wang Lin in a flash. He then opened his mouth and a ray of green light shot out. This green light contained a bolt of thunder. There were many ghostly wails coming from this thunder, and it shot directly at Wang Lin. The old man didn't even look at the result. After using his life treasure, he teleported again to escape the cave. However, just as he was about to escape, his eyes widened, his body froze in the air, and cold sweat rolled down his face. Wang Lin, who should have been behind him, suddenly appeared before him and coldly looked at him. "Did I let you go?" Wang Lin's 2 fingers were holding the green thunderbolt, and he waved his sleeve. The old man's body was knocked back and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. He slammed into the wall. Eyes filled with panic, he exclaimed, How did you become so powerful?" Wang Lin gently squeezed with his 2 fingers and the green thunderbolt immediately dissipated without a trace. This scene struck the old man's mind like a hammer. He was in shock, and his face became even more pale, his nascent soul weakened, and black blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth. You can't kill me. No killing is allowed within the clan. If you kill me, the elder of the family will. The old man was filled with fear. Wang Lin's strength was beyond his imagination. He didn't think a core formation cultivator he could bully at will and expel could become so powerful in just a few days. However, before he could finish speaking, Wang Lin's divine sense spread out, forming an invisible giant hand that pressed down on the old man's head to search his soul. With Wang Lin's power, the old man wasn't even qualified to resist. The old man's body trembled violently, and a moment later, he fell on the ground, unconscious. After looking through this nascent soul old man's memory, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he began to ponder. He hadn't killed many people of the Scatter Thunder clan, but with all the memories he had just obtained, he had a fairly detailed understanding of the Scatter Thunder clan. They use this method of scattering them so they can learn to fight, learn the law of the jungle, and for a generation of leaders to be born. Aside from the 3 mother planets, where a large number of clan members simply live, the remaining 13 of the 16 planets are all trial grounds for the clan members. Every 100 years, there will be one spot to enter the Holy Land, and everyone on these 13 planets needs to fight for it. Once they enter that Holy Land and personally come into contact with that eternal thunderbolt, their mark will be empowered even more. It will cause the cultivation level of whoever enters to increase greatly. There are still 7 years until the next competition. However, the method the Scatter Thunder clan made for their clan members to compete is interesting. It isn't dependent on cultivation level or fighting skill, but on thunder crystals. In 7 years, the person with the most thunder crystals will be allowed to enter the Holy Land. This is an opportunity one can't let pass. I will be allowed to just enter the Holy Land to absorb the eternal thunderbolt. Wang Lin's lit up and his right hand reached at the void. The thunder mark between the old man's eyebrows flashed and a jade flew out. The people of the ancient star system rarely used bags of holding. The marks between their eyebrows contained a storage space, and everything could be placed inside. With the jade in hand, Wang Lin easily saw its contents without damaging the divine sense mark on it. This jade contained a formation that was always active and vaguely merged with the world. The contents inside were constantly changing. It was a ranking list. This ranking list had a total of 800 names and a number behind each name. These numbers represented thunder crystals. There were obviously more than 800 people in the Scatter Thunder clan, but only the top 800 could enter this ranking list. Wang Lin looked at the top name on the list and frowned. 1,900,007,000. The person at the top was named Master Spruce. 1,300,009,000. The rank 2 person was named Lotus. After quickly looking at the list, even rank 800 had more than 400,000 thunder crystals. As for the old man in the cave, he only had 70,000 thunder crystals, which was insignificant. Thunder crystals were not objects or just a name. There were many ways of obtaining them. The fastest way was to give tribute to the Scatter Thunder clan. Whether it was spells, pills, alchemy materials, and even Joss flames, they could all be exchanged for thunder crystals. Joss flames gave the most, and the rest would depend on the rank. This wasn't the first time he had encountered something like this. The Demon Spirit Land was similar, only they used war merit, and here they used thunder crystals. This way, the Scatter Thunder clan had mobilized the entire clan together. Not only would this improve the cultivation of clan members, but also allow them to accumulate resources. This is interesting. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he waved his right hand. The mark between the old man's eyebrows was completely activated and everything inside was taken by Wang Lin. Wang Lin didn't kill this old man. He naturally knew the Scatter Thunder clan was very strict on killing between clan members. Once there was a murder, someone would come to investigate. Wang Lin no longer paid any heed to the old man. He walked into the depths of the cave toward the valley. The sound of water flowing became even more clear. There was a small river flowing not far from him. There was a large amount of spirit herbs growing on both sides of the river. What attracted Wang Lin's attention the most was the faint trace of thunder coming from the plant growing on the wall of the valley. It grew 7 feet out from the wall and had 6 green fruits. Just as Wang Lin was observing the fruit, 4 rays of light were heading toward the cave. There were 4 old men, each standing on top of a flying sword each. None of them were weak, and one of them was at the mid-stage of nascent soul. There was a look of disdain on his face and his eyes were cold. One of the 3 men behind him pointed forward and said, "Uncle, Chiji's cave is just ahead. He is the only early nascent soul old monster within 5,000 kilometers, and he has stolen a lot of treasures over the years." The mid-stage nascent soul old man nodded and didn't seem to care as he slowly said, "Very good. Afterward, the 3 of you can go to the Heavenly Thunder sect to collect your benefits. In exchange for helping my Heavenly Thunder sect, you will naturally not be treated badly." The 3 core formation cultivators' eyes were filled with joy. The person who spoke quickly said his thanks and laughed. "Uncle will surely be able to trade for a lot of thunder crystals with these treasures. Then your status at the Heavenly Thunder sect will be a lot higher." The mid-stage nascent soul cultivator looked at the core formation cultivator and softly said, "I won't be using those thunder crystals for myself, I'll give them to the sect master. My Heavenly Thunder sect's sect master is very close to the Scatter Thunder ranking. Soon, he will enter the rankings." After he spoke, the 3 core formation cultivators were shocked and they became even more respectful. This video will end here.